All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I am so excited for this workshop. I can already tell the energy is just amazing. So this is going to be a great session. First off, a bit of background information on our esteemed expert. Genevieve is the founder and creative director of Triangleflash Media, where she advises seasoned entrepreneurs, consultants, and creatives on building their badass brand, developing their next MVP, increasing revenue, and turning their greatest passions into profitable ventures. In her own words, she is an ambidextrous marketing firecracker. On the one hand, she has an MBA in finance from Duke and a Fortune 500 management consultant background. And on the other hand, she has experience as an international photographer and founder of a creative agency in New York with global clients and co founder of an award winning yoga studio in San Diego. So today, she combines both sides of the brain to bring innovative and creative brands to life. And the workshop we're all about to participate in today has been taught to 2,000 people since it was launched in April 2020, including at the Wing, where it was the highest attended workshop of all the conference workshops, which is just incredible. So thank you so much, Genevieve, for taking the time to teach us about your expertise today. We know how valuable your time is, and we can't wait to learn from you.
Thank you, Hannah, so much. And I just got to say thank you, everyone who showed up for their badass bios and your lives. I am going to recommend, just to get the full experience of this, if you're not on video, go ahead and get on video. And I'd also recommend getting on a laptop, because I am going to share a Google Doc in which we're actually going to do stuff. We're going to walk out with some cool bios. So I got a list of all the things that everyone's going to be, I got everything from, I need a one-liner, or I need my Twitter one-liner, I need my LinkedIn one-liner. So we're definitely going to cover that. And I did get that some folks, some of you are in transition. Amen. That's where this workshop actually started. So as Hannah's mentioned, I am a go-to-market strategist, and I started out in creative, and then I went into finance and management consulting, and I've pivoted. Actually, my very first career was actually as an opera singer. And so I had to learn how to tell my story and do it in a way that was compelling, even if it didn't seem like I had the permission to do so or necessarily the expertise. And so when COVID happened, I decided the first time I gave this workshop was April 2nd. And I said, you know what? I know a lot of people are pivoting and positioning into new roles and reinventing themselves in more powerful ways. So that's the intention of today. And so I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to just share my screen. There we go. Share my screen. And for the sake, I do want to be able to see both chat and everything. So it won't be in full screen. Sometimes I lose my ability to see folks. So this is for Dreamers and Doers. That's all of you. And today what we're going to talk about is actually learn the do's and don'ts of a bio. So some of those yeses and some of those nos. And then we're actually going to craft a compelling one-liner. Yes, you will walk out with that. And we're going to write and share a draft of your bio too. So we're going to do one-liner and then also a bio. So you're going to get a lot. So I hope you're ready. You got your caffeine all pumped up here. So I'm going to skip this part because you already know who I am. And I wanted to start out, the very first thing is, what does it take to write a badass bio? Okay, the very first thing is play. Have a ton of, just don't take yourself too seriously, and remember that your bio isn't written in stone. So this isn't like I'm going to, somebody's going to call you up and expect you to have this perfect for 10 years down the line. No, it's constantly evolving. And that's the cool thing, is that we can change it quite frequently. It just takes, going on our Instagram profile or, on our LinkedIn profile, right? So just play with it, have fun. It's not do or die today. And the other thing is to really get into this mindset of imagination. Go beyond what you think is supposed to be, or what you think that, you know, you're supposed to have on your resume, and go beyond those expectations. I mean, you're one of a kind. So just remember that and experiment with that. And as there's a quote by Sally Hogshead that I really love, which is, different is better than better. Okay. Different is better than better. Okay. So don't try. You don't need to do anything else but be yourself and just play with that. And then the last thing, this is the most important thing, what it takes to write a badass bio. So this is bragging. Bragging is probably the number one important thing to do when we are writing a badass bio. And so I want to get a little pulse here, is if we can all make an agreement in here, in this group, that we are going to commit as a collective for the next 80 minutes that we are going to brag like our lives depend on it. Okay. Can I get a yes? Can I get a yes? Either show me your hand or type yes, because we're going to brag like our life depends on it. Because what you have, the gifts that you have and the magic that you have is brag worthy. You're sharing it because there is something that no one else can do but you. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. Hey, Olga. Hey, Raquel. I love this. I love seeing some of these names and faces. So in commitment to that, we're going to start out. And I want to just, this is a little practice round. I want you guys to all think about one professional thing that you've done that you are so effing proud of. So effing proud of. I want you to think of that one thing, and I want you to chat it right now. Put it in the type box, what you are so proud of, a professional accomplishment, and do it. Let's see. This is our opportunity to practice this. Really go for it. Go for it. I want to see these. Who's the brave soul to go first in the chat box? What are you freaking proud of? Because there's a lot to be proud of. Maybe it's that you led a team that was across 10 different continents. Maybe you are proud of the fact that you were the only woman on your team. What was it? I was featured in the New York Times. Yes, yes, Lydia. I'm proud to going idea to investment within 8 weeks. F yeah. Hell yeah. 8 weeks working at a major museum. Yes, Nina. Okay. Launched a beverage startup in New York. Yeah. Are those adult beverages? I love it. Okay. Come on. I know you can keep going. This is the power. This is the power. I was featured as a trailblazer for 2021. Yes, Jessica. That's amazing. I love that. Keep on bragging, because this is how this is going to work. This is the power. Get those juices going. Do not be bashful. I increase my confidence as a consultant. Amazing, Sonia. Confidence is so powerful. Led, styled, and executed a full-scale campaign photo shoot. Maria, you go, girl. Love to see that you're here. Founded a charity. Ladies, we've got some serious badasses in here. This is amazing. I love it. I love it. I love seeing this. Made 6 figures as a consultant, not in 2020. Love it. Alexa, founding trash pickup. Oh God. Yes. And by the way, Alexa's literally is freaking, it's so much fun. Airbnb, foundational brand, which is now worth over $100 billion. No way, Willow. That's amazing. Holy shit. We've got some serious badass women in here. So now that our muscles for bragging is on, now that we're on, okay? See, this is, and sorry if I botched this, but Serene, did I say it right? Serene.
Yeah, Serene.
Amazing. So Serene, look at this. Like, did anybody feel repulsed by reading someone's brag? Anyone? No, I'm hearing crickets, because there's nothing wrong with saying what you're good at and what you're proud of. Okay, so let's get into that mindset. Now that we've practiced that muscle, let's move on to why a badass bio. Okay, when you think about what employers, or when you think about what your audience is doing, is that they're looking for something. They're looking for someone to be like, hey, like, can you help me with this? Can someone help me with this? And most likely people are looking for either a position or some sort of problem that they need solved. And this is where the badass bio comes in, because you're like, make it a no-brainer to pick you. So sometimes we get all cutesy and fluffy and we try to get super creative, and by no means am I saying don't be creative in your bios, but sometimes it's hard to really get and understand who you're talking to or about and why. Okay. So we're going to make it such a no-brainer to pick you, and these simple steps. Okay. The first thing that I want you to do. Oh, I love that. I love surviving a toxic startup. Yes, it is. Okay. So, what I'm going to have you do is, now that you have that brag, okay, I want you to think about this. These are essentially the primary ingredients that you need to craft a one-liner. Okay. And I'm not going to tell you exactly where and how these are all going to go, but I want you to get out your piece of paper, or maybe you have a Google Doc out right now, and really think about that one brag that you just had. And I want you to think about who specifically was your target. Who were you helping specifically? Okay, so go. I want you to write that down. And then I want you to write down what the result was. Okay, so if it was trash pickup, what was the result of that? If it was, starting, right, that, I'm sorry if it was, oh yeah, it's $1,500 billion fund, right, for Airbnb. What was the result of it? Okay, like what was the impact? Okay, and then the next is, think about what was the initial problem. Why did that even happen in the first place? Okay, what was the problem of that? And then the next is, what was the solution? How did you get that done? How did you make that happen? And sometimes that solution is kind of your magic sauce. And then the last thing is that differentiation, right? So what made that happen? How did you make that happen? And I'm sorry, this is the magic and the secret sauce, right? So I want you to take a moment with that brag that you just had, that you just shared, and really mull on these 5 components. And I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. And I'm going to be, just talking right here to kind of iterate on some of the things. So target, be really specific. Who was your target for this? Not people, okay? Not, people who needed help, but be really specific. Like if you could think of one person, a target, a bullseye's target is very narrow. So if you could think about that target, who is it? Who did you help? And what was the impact? What was the result that you had? Just in that one little brag that you had. Okay. And then the next is, what was the problem in the first place? What were people like bitching about, or what were they like complaining about? What were they worried about? What were they sick and tired of dealing with, right? What was that initial problem? Write that down. And then what was the solution that you came up with, that you made all of these problems and the results come together? Like, what was your solution to that? And it doesn't need to be perfect right now. Just jot down. And then the last thing again is to think about that differentiation. What was the secret ingredient, that superpower that you used in order to make all of this magic happen? Okay, I love it. Created my creative studio and moved to Europe. Yes, go Emily. And by the way, your work is amazing, Emily. It's so beautiful. Eleanor, I'm reading this 3 international career moves. Hell yeah. I mean, that's not easy building a brand from scratch like that. Oops, excuse me. I don't know how that happened. Also then, Kirsten got my work published in Wall Street Journal. Yep, way to make that happen. Okay. So as you're writing all of this down, all right, I'm going to tell you that these are the 5 necessary ingredients. Okay. So we've done this, which is now we're going to craft that compelling one-liner. Okay, this right here is essentially the specific 4 frameworks that I like to use that I think are pretty fundamental. And the first 2 are probably going to be your go-tos. Okay, so this first one is a template. Now, I am here to help. And whatever you wrote down in that target market that you just said who you were helping, I want you to plug that in so that they can what? What is the result? Okay, so I am here to help target market so that they can what? All right, what happens for them? And the next one is I help target market get some kind of benefit. So what did they gain? And what was that pain that they initially had? What was that problem that they initially had without something? So I'm going to do a little example here, which is I am here to help serial entrepreneurs, me personally, so that they can increase their brand, revenue, and market share. Okay, that's what I do. But there's also another example is how many of you are solopreneurs in marketing? I know there's so many marketers, or you're a coach, a leadership coach. How many of you are executives? Yes, I love that. Some of you are executives, or some of you are founders, right? Yep. Love that, Nina. Yes. So if you are, who are you ultimately here to help? In Nina's case, I bet I'm here to help emerging artists so that they can what, right? I know a few of you. So I want you to put that in there and then go ahead and type in right now based on what we just shared. I want you to write that, type that in. I am here to help. Who's your target market that you identified up here, right? So that they can get what? And go ahead. Don't be afraid to type it in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, we promised we were going to play. We're going to have some imagination, and we were going to brag. We promised we were going to brag. So let's make that happen. Go ahead and type in the chat box. Who are you to help? And what's that result that you provided? Sonali, Katie, I love this. Okay, I'm here to help companies who need to grow their revenue via digital commerce so that they can get exponential long-term profitable growth. Woo! Power to you, girl. I'm going to tweak that a little bit to help companies who need to grow their revenue get even more specific, target it down even more. Maybe it is early stage. What is it, right? Or it's tech, or it is hospitality, right? Get even more. Target is super, super small. Sonali, I'm here to help overwhelmed dog parents sift through online misinformation by sharing science-backed insights directly from scientists. Woo! Yeah, girl, I know exactly what you're doing. I know exactly, right? Great. And what is the result? I'm going to push you, Sonali. What is the result? You're saying how you do it by sharing, but I want to know what the result is. So if I was thinking the result so that, right, maybe they're spending less time in the vet with the vet, okay, something. And Lori. Lori builds and grows companies' reputations, thereby increasing awareness, business results, and credibility. Think of her as a non-traditional publicist for companies as early as startups and as established as global 500s. Amazing. I know who you're talking about, but I want to know, like, tell me, like, at the end, thereby increasing awareness, business results, and credibility. Actually, you hit that. That's great. That's the result. It's perfect. Okay. I have a question. Serene is asking this question. Genevieve, can you clarify how to differentiate between what might be my company's purpose versus me as the co-founder? Okay. So when we're talking about, so this is different because today we're talking about bios, right? This is our personal.
Sorry, I meant bio, but yeah.
Yes, it's a bio, right? But if you wanted to talk about this with brands, is think about who your target market is. Who is it specifically that you're trying to help, right? What's the company? And so we'll call it, just for the sake of brevity, it's maybe it's Serene LLC. And
I'm actually
Serene,
wondering the other way, Genevieve, because I feel like I need to differentiate myself from my brand
yeah, absolutely. Then what
as
is it
opposed to
that
not,
you
yeah,
are
separate
doing?
it.
Yeah. So think about one of your biggest, think about that proudest accomplishment that you ever had. And that was, right, because you made that happen, right? Go back to that. Or think of another proud accomplishment that you've had that you were pivotal / monumentally important to the success of that particular project. Like, it wouldn't have happened without you. Try that. Okay. And then think from there, what was the target and what was the result? Now, as you think about, now this is to help you to start thinking about your one-liner. It may not be that that's something you want to do anymore, right? That past professional accomplishment, but this is going to help you jog and think about, it's the practice, right? We're playing with this, we're experimenting with how do we actually craft it. Okay. So Serene, think about one of, if not, right now, future wise, what is that dream project? And we're going to talk about that in our bio coming up next. So we will have an exercise just for that. We're going to go on a magic carpet ride today. I promise you guys, it's going to be fun. Lydia, I work with women who are considered the strong one, who struggle with limiting beliefs around love and pleasure, but long to take back their power to ask for and get what they want. Yes, right? I see a target and I get the result. And the result, but instead of but long to take back their power, is they get back their power and get what they want. Not long, right? That's not a result. People don't want to keep longing forever. They just want their power back. Okay. All right. I love it. So I want you to go ahead. All right. So this is the first one. I help target market so that they can. All right. And then I want you to play around with the next one. Okay. Which is, how. Okay. So sometimes in conversations, we have, it's a really cool time in this era right now, is that traditional is no longer traditional, right? Like, I mean, actually, sorry, traditional is now actually being non-traditional. And that's a cool thing, but sometimes it can be a little like over our head as to what the heck we mean, right? So, if you have something very very, very, difficult to explain, right? For example, and you have a completely new product or a new idea, right? You can relate it and use a metaphor, all right? So you can say, how, and have a problem. How most people, so I'm going to use the accountant as a pretty generic one, but how everybody spends the last 2 weeks before taxes stressing out? Well, what I do is, okay, and here's the solution. I prepare your taxes well in advance by simply having you submit your QuickBooks, and we take care of the rest. Right? So an accountant, or how, okay, so that was the accountant version. Might be a different one. It could be, how, and I'm going to use the, let's see, I'm going to pick someone. Okay. So Katie, thank you for sharing. So let's say that, how most companies, they plateau, right? Katie's in digital commerce. So how most companies plateau after a certain number of sales? Well, what I do is help them, right, unlock all the digital commerce potentials by SEO, whatever it is. Okay. So this is problem. Again, we're going back to right here, which is knowing what your problem is, that solution, and then differentiator. Okay. So I'm going to go back here, is how. Problem, well, what I do is solution, and then how. Okay. How's everyone doing so far? Are we following? If we're following, give me a yes. If this is starting to gel. You know, one-liners aren't so scary. They are not so scary, to be honest. They're very formulaic. And sometimes it's more of a matter of figuring out, you know, what elements, where do we want to focus? And I have a feeling that some of you are like, but Genevieve, I am multi-passionate. Like I do 500 million things. And you're right, you are, because so many of us have actually had at least three careers by now, right? And especially in this last year, we've been able to kind of pivot, right? Pivot in a totally different scenario. The thing is that it doesn't mean that just because you're stating what your one thing is, that people are not going to talk to you about other things. Remember, a compelling bio is such that in a compelling one-liner is such that someone is like, I totally identify with that. And I want to talk to this person. It's the conversation starter. It's not the sign your life away, you know, like contract that you have to be this person and only this person for the rest of your life. It doesn't work that way. It's really to begin the conversation and pique people's interest. Okay. So the next is, all right, I'm like a, and this is the third one is I'm like a, and so maybe this is the one where this is the one where it's like, you might have a very difficult concept, right, to share. And it might be really difficult, right? And it might be hard for you to explain, but I'm like a blank for a specific target market. So I'm going to use, say someone is, if I were to use, I'm going to do, one of my friends just started a startup, and it's in Mexico. And the concept of delivery services in pharmacy was like, this was like 5 years ago. It was like, what? Like, it's kind of like foreign to have things delivered immediately, especially when it came to the fact there was pharmacy, like it was meds. So what helped ease that was basically, he said, we're like Uber for your medicine. And so like, it was a little bit more approachable for that particular market that was like less susceptible to having people just dropping things off or what have you. So if you have a difficult concept, think about a metaphor or some other company, or maybe it's even aspirational in terms of scale that might be analogous for your specific target market. Okay. Lydia, how is this statement? You know how ambitious women are exhausted, lonely, and emotionally depleted. Well, what I do is teach women how to make peace with their strength and obtain pleasure in every aspect of their lives. Oof, sign me up. Sign me up. Who wouldn't want to do that? Yes, who else? Who else wouldn't want to have pleasure in every aspect of their lives? It's perfect. Thank you for sharing, Lydia. And please do pop in if you have ideas and thoughts. The next is unlike most, and this is where you're really going to stand out. Okay. The next one is unlike most. Okay. So what is everyone else doing? What is everyone else doing in your industry? First of all, what's your industry? And unlike everyone else, how do you do things different, right? What's your secret sauce? What's that thing, that makes what you do so different and unique? Okay. What is that? So I'm going to have you guys toy around with this one. Unlike most other people in my industry. So someone give me an industry just on the spot, like type it in. Type it in. Okay, skincare. Oh, Jessica, we know this one. Okay, unlike most skincare products, right? Okay, so most skincare products don't really focus on, like, it's not necessarily about pigmentation or what have you, but unlike most skincare products, that focus on, clean products or whatever it is. What we do is we focus on hyperpigmentation for women of color. I probably botched that up, Jessica. I'm sorry. You probably could come up with a way better one because your what makes you is different. I've actually spoken to Jessica a little bit about Wura, which by the way is beautiful. It is beautiful branding. So Jessica, I am going to push you on this one, and I'm going to ask you to type in, unlike most people in skincare and in that industry, what do you do that is different? I'm also going to invite some other brave souls to share. I would love to see that. Love to. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go back up to here. And just to remind everyone is that think about one of your most favorite professional projects and perhaps something that you would love to do again. And if it's something that you want to make as your consistent revenue or consistent career path, right? Think about that. Like it's these simple components that you constantly want to reflect back on is who, result, problem, solution, and the differentiator. Okay. And anyone else? I'm waiting for you, Jessica. So I'm going to pause here for a moment and ask any questions so far on the one-liner. Any questions on the one-liner? Because I'm going to pause here before we move on to our badass bio. And by the way, make sure that you do have at least one of these in your back pocket. Out of all of these, make sure you have one of them because we're going to need it for the next section. It's actually crafting your bio. Okay. So, Najwa, you asked, what do I do if I start mixing up my role with my company with what my company represents? Okay, so this is an interesting part, right? This is the second time this has come up. You're always want to consider is that what is the purpose of your bio? The bio is in essence, right? It's basically pick me, talk to me. But what type of conversation do you want to have front and center? Think about that. What's the conversation that's top of mind for you to have? Is it a conversation for someone to hire you? Is it a conversation for someone to, hire you to be a consultant? Is it someone to hire you or actually maybe even just, right, connect with you as a subject matter expert? Or is it that maybe it's to get more professional connections? Identify what kind of conversation you want to have first. If it's because you're a co-founder and you want to be raising funds and that's the number one important conversation you want to be having, put that first. This is your compelling one-liner is an open invitation to whatever conversation that you want to start. Okay. And it doesn't mean the conversation ends right there. It's where it begins. Okay, Lydia, unlike most pleasure coaches, I am not going to call you goddess and tell you to insert things in your vagina. What I do is help you practice radical self-acceptance and self-mastery to experience pleasure. Great, 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 great. Okay, Jessica, she wrote, Jessica, do I have your permission to read this? Because I know you accidentally sent it to me.
Yes, sorry, I'm going to actually send it out to the whole group. Sorry.
Okay, yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy paste it. And I'm just going to put it into everybody and I'm going to read it because I'm loving it. Okay, this is from Jessica. Unlike most natural and organic skincare products, I focused on formulating products to address issues unique to women of color that impact our confidence and overall well-being. Okay, I know, right? I am thinking about all of the ways in which skincare is focused for me, or I'm thinking about hyperpigmentation, right? Or any of the other skincare needs for women of color. Great. Amazing. Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing this both. Okay. Does everybody have one? Does everybody have one compelling one-liner? Please type in the chat box. Yes, yes, yes. I want to see yeses because we're not going to keep moving forward until You do. Yes. Thank you, Lori. Who else? Who else? I'm going to push. All right. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Thanks a lot. Okay. Lydia, Lindsay, yes. Amazing. Okay. Now, what I'm about to do is I'm gonna share with you everyone. There is a worksheet that we're going to be working off of, and so give me 1 second, and I'm going to put this worksheet into the Google chat. The Zoom chat. And what I want you to do is just have it handy dandy, right? Just have it handy dandy. You don't need to like actually do anything just yet, but I want you to have it handy dandy. And because I know sometimes it's like, oh, I don't have the doc yet. It won't open, it won't share. So we'll do that while I am talking and sharing some other things with you, which is, okay, going back, I wanted to share, which is the 3 things that are essential to every single badass bio, okay? Essential to every single badass bio is 1, results. And I mean that, like results with a Z, okay? Think about how you take someone from Pain Island to Pleasure Island, okay? And what do I mean by this is that people do not ultimately buy goods and services. We think, oh, they're buying my product, or they're buying my time, or they're buying this, or they're buying that, but they're not buying a product. Like when you buy an iPhone, you're not buying like the hardware. You're buying everything that this allows you to do in your life, which is convenience. It is connectivity, right? It's communication. Or even when someone buys, a $500 Louis Vuitton, Christian Louboutin shoe, right? It's how it makes you feel, right? It's not because they're necessarily like more practical or, it goes beyond that. It's actually, okay, when I put these on, I feel something. I'm different, right? And so that's that transformation. So think about what is the result? What are you doing in your work? What are the results that you're getting? So that might be a result like some of you mentioned revenue growth, right? Increasing, like some companies, right? They need you to help them drive revenue, or some of them need, right? The perfect branding, right? So the perfect communications so that they can, talk to, right, their audience, right? They need that tool. Or some of them, right? Some of you are leadership coaches, right? And you help people stop maybe going from boundaryless meetings, conversations, issues with co-founders, right? Going to really effective sales meetings with potential pitch clients, maybe getting even on board with all the teams for increased efficiency, whatever it is. Your particular zone of genius, what you do best, produces results. So make sure that you are really honing in on those results. The next most important thing about the elements of a badass bio is being hyper specific, like really, really specific. I will tell you this, it's funny because I can't tell you how many people when I say, hey, so like, what's your dream project or what's your dream job? And they go, I just want to help people. And I cannot tell you how many times I hear that and how many times internally I am rolling my eyes. And I don't mean that to be catty, but it is that it's like, let's push this. Is that, are you really going to, in this next 5 minutes, going to be able to help everyone? Or do you know what your zone of genius is and where you can play specifically, right? Who are you specifically here to help? What do you specifically want to do and impact, right? And being really hyper-focused about that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to help the world, but right now someone is looking for you specifically, right? And you're looking for someone specifically. Would you really want that annoying client 3 years ago who was treating you like shit, and have them come back? No, likely not. You don't want to work with them. Or would you really want to work with, that same team that kept you up 24 hours a day, no boundaries whatsoever? Is that really who you want to work with? So being specific and not just saying, I want to help everyone. Yes, ultimately, that's the impact that we would like, right? But let's get really specific and clear, because what you write, you invite. I will say this again, what you write, you invite. So if you say everyone, that includes everyone you don't want. So be really specific about who you want. And I'm going to say this, some of you guys I know are going to be like, again, this whole multi-passionate, but I'm a generalist and I do all these things. And I'm just like, I'm a badass. And I know you are, for sure you are. But I want to ask you this question. If you had a heart condition, and who would you rather go to? A cardiologist or a general practitioner? Go ahead and type in. Who would you rather go to? No one will go to anybody? There we go. Right, cardiologist. Right, so the people who are looking for you, who have problems, right? Say someone hasn't filled a position in their company, or someone's looking for a co-founder, or someone is looking for someone to help them with their relationship issues, right? In any of those scenarios, right? They're looking for something specific, not I'm looking for someone who can do everything. So you're thinking about also the way that others are looking for you. Be searchable. Be searchable. Searchable because people are looking for someone who can specifically solve their problem. And specific is specific. Okay. So the third thing is really make sure that you have street cred. And street cred is your background, your life experiences. Maybe this is part of your schooling. Great. You have street cred academically. Maybe it's the awards that you've won. Maybe it's the press that you've received. Maybe it's the number of years that you've been working in this particular industry. Or maybe it's the number of years that you've been working on a certain role. Or maybe it's the breadth, right? Maybe it's the breadth and depth of the client projects that you've worked on that have helped you become the expert you are today. So give yourself some street cred. Now you're saying, I can do all this, right? You go from results, who you help in, I'm super specific, right? And then you're saying, and trust me. You can trust me, really. You can trust me. Like you can trust me that I'll help you guys with this. I mean, after doing it, I've done this with an audience of now 2,000 people over 20 countries, right? Some street cred, I'll give that. So the results, specificity, and street cred. Once you have all of that, okay, once you have all of that, we're now going to be able to move into our little magic carpet ride. Okay, all right. So what I want everyone to do is I want you to go ahead and make sure you have that Google Doc open. I'm going to put that link back up inside one more time, just in case for those of you, I just put it in there. And you're going to want to have that handy dandy. But for a moment, I'm going to have you get really comfortable in your seat, wherever you're at, get comfortable. And then I'm going to have you close your eyes. Just close your eyes. And you can even, don't worry, I'm not going to be peeking either. Close your eyes. And take a few deep breaths in through your nose. Exhale, making maybe an audible sound. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more. Your biggest of the day yet. Exhale. Now imagine that a magic carpet has mysteriously arrived right next to you, and it asks you, hey, jump on. And so you jump on, you fasten your seatbelt. You don't know where it's going to take you, other than the fact that you're already off and running in space. And as you notice outside, you see that the hours are going by. You notice that the days are going by, and you notice that the months and the seasons, they're all starting to change until you're finally at 2022, exactly 1 year from now. And you step off the magic carpet to arrive exactly a year from now to all of the things that you had hoped to accomplish in this last year. And when you step off the magic carpet, you walk towards the most important, most exciting, and most fun professional experience of your life. This is the project. This is the client. This is the position that you know you are born to do. And as you're walking towards it, heading in, about to get started, notice who you're with. Where are you? Why are you so excited? What is it that you get to do on this Wednesday, February 10th, 2022? It's just another regular old day, but it's like the best. You're doing the work in your zone of genius. And you hear your phone ring, and you pick up the phone, and it happens to be your favorite client or your favorite customer, or it is your boss, or it's your most favorite partner, all professional. And they start to speak to you and they say, wow, did you just hear what happened? Did you just hear what happened? And then what's the best news that you could hear? What news are they sharing? And they say, we couldn't have done this without you. We could not have done this without you. Because of you, we were able to move the needle on this. Because of you, this has changed and transformed us, our organization, my life, my work. And receive all of that. And then take a moment and visualize who is that person who's talking to you on the other end, who's telling you that without you, they could not have moved forward. Without you, their life would not be the same. If this person is someone you already know, note their name. And if it's not, make a name right now. This might be your future co-founder, might be your future client, customer, coworker. And then take a moment to think about all of the superpowers that you used in order to make this happen. Yes, you have superpowers. I mean, you summoned a magic carpet and you just made the other person on the other line yell at the top of their lungs, thank you. How'd you make that happen? What superpowers did you use? And because you're so good at bragging, you're like bragging like your life depends on it right now, knowing how much of a badass you are and how capable you are of having done this. And then when you're ready, you realize it's time for happy hour. The day's done. All you had to do was just show up and be yourself. And you know, I am enough just by being. All you had to do was just be you and do what you're meant to do in your zone of genius. And that's how you got results. You have the street cred to back it up. And so you return back onto the magic carpet, heading back light years backwards. 12 months, 11 months, 10 months, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back here to this very present moment. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, coming back to this very present moment. And with that Google Doc, go ahead and grab that Google Doc, okay? Putting it back into that chat. And I'm gonna ask you to open it up. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna give you about 6 minutes to just free write everything that you saw and experienced. And you might be like, Genevieve, there's no way in heck I can do it in 6 minutes. And I'd be like, well, actually, the whole purpose of this is just play and experiment. So don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about spelling. You just saw everything that you needed to see. So what did you see? What did you see? I'm going to walk through the questions, but you can go at your own pace. But I'm going to help explain and describe what each of these are. Okay. 1 second, because my computer is dying, needs more juice. Okay. All right, we're plugged in now. So number 1 is, a year from now, what did you see that you were getting paid for? Okay. Number 2, and remember, rule, specific, not I'm helping people. Wrong. Get specific for the sake of this. What are you getting paid to do, or that you would love to get paid to do? It was your dreamiest of 1-year visions. Remember, it's 1 year also. It's not written in stone. You don't have to take this to the grave, okay? The next is, what is your secret trademark? Okay, make sure you're doing file, make copy. By the way, file, make a copy. That's one way you can get this. What is your secret sauce or trademark in doing number 1? All right, you know that secret sauce at the end. You're like, my badass powers, superpowers. No one else can do it. Write those down. Number 3, what experiences have made you a badass at number 1? And notice that I put quantify. What experiences? Maybe you've worked in this industry for 15 years, or maybe you've been in client services for 10, or maybe, you know, you've been helping people since you were 5 years old solve this particular problem. but just in a different shape. All right, quantify it, put some numbers down. Maybe it's that you've spent your 10,000 hours of expertise on something. Number 4, what are some of your proudest accomplishments to date? And quantify those. Okay, your proudest accomplishment to date. And when I say quantify, well, you might be like, well, might not be the amount that you've sold, but how many people have you impacted because of this? Maybe it's your business that doesn't matter how big or small it is. All right. Maybe it's that in the last 5 years, you've worked with 100 clients globally, or maybe that it's you've worked with 20 clients, or maybe it's that you have customers in 10 different countries, whatever it is, right? Quantify it, put some numbers to it. That is specificity. And then number 5, when doing number 1, which of your superpowers are you most proud of? Okay, it's kind of similar to number 2. And number 6, by doing what you love, who do you want to impact most immediately? And think about that one person, right? You know their name. Remember, they were on the phone and they were like, you made it happen because of you. Who was that person? I want you to describe them in detail. Who is it? You probably also saw a few other people in that. Note that down too. Okay. And then what were the problems that they were saying initially when they met you? And they were like, gosh, if only, man, they were bitching about something. They were worried about something. They were losing sleep about something. What was that? And number 8, it's kind of tricky. I'm not going to lie, but it's really helpful. Number 8 is, how will their lives change as a result of you doing what you do? You being in your zone of genius. Going back up to that question number 1 is, how will their lives change? And please don't write anything emotional. Oh, they're happier, they're lighter. What changes actually in their life? And this is tricky because this requires you to be really specific. So if we're thinking strictly bottom line revenue, okay, it's that their sales increase, or user acquisition tripled, or it might be that their pet, right, back to Snolly, their pet no longer needed to go to the vet. They, like, or it could be skincare, right? Actually had their skin clear after using this product. What happened? Non-emotional. What really changed? Moved the needle. And why this is so essential and elemental is that when we get super specific, people will understand. Specific is universal. The more specific, the more universal. There's a reason we don't make good cop, bad cop movies all the time. We don't make, Star Wars is good cop, bad cop, right? But it's actually very specific in where it's set. It's not set in today. It's very specific. Like, what other movie has a Chewbacca? There isn't, but it's still very universal in terms of light versus dark. Same thing with the tortoise and the hare. It's not just one fast animal and one small animal. It's a boring story. But when we say the tortoise and the hare, we identify with it. Get specific. Specific is universal. And then think about the emotional response that you want them to have. Why making this impact and change is important to you. And the last 3 questions are probably the hardest out of all of them, but the most important. Why is making this impact or change important to you? Why? And then ask yourself again, why is that important? You might be like, because I don't want people to suffer, but why is that important to you that you don't want people to suffer? Really dig deep, because there is something in there. And at some point you might be like, because it's so obvious that, and it comes. Why does that matter? Why does that matter? Why does that matter? Why does that matter? And at the very end, okay, so I'm going to give a few more minutes to this. At the very end, there is a full bio statement where pretty much this is here where you can plug and play into everything that you just shared in here. So take a few minutes, because what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bold here, but the boldness is saved for the last, because this is where the butter is. I kid you not, the very end of this workshop is actually where all the money is. Oh, I see some people are like, oh no, I got a little scared. But for those of you who are still here, I applaud you. It's amazing. I know some people had to jump because of the hour, but this next few minutes we're going to dive into super powerful, super, super powerful. One thing that I'm going to do while you're kind of writing these things is I have this list of some power words in case, you know, you're like, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I got you. I got your backs. I tried to write them in alphabetical order at first, and then I got, you know, a little tired. So I was like, okay, let's just put them all down. All right. All right. Some of those power words, right? Because you guys move mountains, right? Because we're not just dreamers, we're also doers, right? So we get shit done. Power words of your efficacy, of the results. You merged, you lifted, you identified, you enhanced, you expanded, you financed, you generated, you grew, you up-leveled, you upgraded, you piloted, you launched. All of these things, you accelerated, you amplified. And we're going to go into, so Hannah, if you're BTW Hannah, while people are still filling this in, we're going to go into groups of 3. We're going to go into groups of 3. Okay.
Genevieve, did you want me to put the groups together, or will you do that?
Can you go ahead and do that?
Yes, definitely.
And then at the bottom of your sheet, everyone, you probably see now, don't worry if you don't have everything filled out, you don't have everything complete or perfect, it's okay. But come back for a moment, okay, and take that one-liner really quick. Take that one-liner that you have, at the very least, I'm hoping you have your one-liner. And I'm going to share my screen again. Oh, here we go. Share my screen right here. Okay. Whoops, so weird. Hey, you're seeing everything. Sorry, guys. I clicked on the wrong one. Okay, so at the very least, here's your badass bio formula, which you have the template, which is right here. Use this template. This will get you there. But in a nutshell, what is it really? It's really your one-liner. It's your superpowers, your street cred, your results, and why you want to do this. So powerful. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into breakout rooms really quick. And I want you to share. Each of us is going to share. Hold on a second. Each of us are going to share. Read your bio, right? Okay. And actually just read your one-liner just for the sake of it. Read your one-liner. And then person number 2 is repeat what you heard without paraphrasing. Just try to be the best listener in the world. Okay. And then the last person C, is be the listener and say, what resonated most with me is when you said. Okay. So we're going to go into groups of 3 and pick whoever has the shortest hair. Okay. Pick whoever has the shortest hair. And looks like, for whatever reason, I'm just going to make sure that it's perfect in here. Now you should have it all in your docs. Sorry if it's not. Read your bio, just take 1 minute or read that one-liner. And person B, what I heard you say, and literally try to memorize every word for word as best you can. There are no prizes or no score keeping, but just be that listener. Okay. And person C, what resonated most with me. And we're going to open up the breakout rooms, and whoever has the shortest hair, you get to go first. All right. Okay.
The rooms are open.
I'm sorry?
The rooms are open.
The rooms are open. Yes, I see that. Okay. See you guys back in a few minutes. Welcome back. I know some of you may have not had the chance to fully share. So whoever's the third, I know that Dreamers and Doers, AKA Hannah, does such an amazing job of sharing who's here. So feel free to connect. I highly encourage you to connect after this and share. But I would love to hear, please share in the chat for you, like, what was that experience like sharing your one-liner or your bio? And if anyone wants to actually unmute themselves, you can share your one-liner. Who's brave? Who's feeling like a dreamer and a doer right now? Oh,
Hi, I guess I'll go.
go. Yes.
I shared my one-liner earlier, but I actually had someone in my group that would be in general, she mentioned she has brown skin, so someone that's likely in my target audience. And she gave me some feedback to, maybe include, like, what are some of the issues I'm specifically trying to address in my one-liner so that it can better capture her, so that she knows exactly what I'm talking about. So it could, I guess, maybe appeal to her more, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, I have uneven tone. This person is talking to me, right? So I thought that was very helpful as I think about my one-liner.
Great. I think Allison, were you on mute?
Yeah, but now I'm like rethinking it, but whatever, I'll just say it.
Oh, girl.
Safe space. I help founders get out of their own way by helping them shift their perspective to think more strategically. That was from the group. Thank you, Olga and Emily. It is a little, needs some polishing, but you really helped tease out some ideas. This has been really great.
Okay, so I'm gonna just do a little suggestion here for that is think strategically. What happens as a result of thinking strategically? So that's how you do something, but it's not the result. What happens when a founder is strategic? Go push yourself on that. Okay, and I want you to think about that. That might be that they hire better people so that they don't waste their money on shitty talent, right? Or that it's that, thinking strategically gets them to the next seed round, whatever that is.
Can I answer that, or it'll be really fast? I want to be mindful of people's time.
Let's be mindful, because I want to be mindful, but that's just a little quick share. Eleanor, yeah, you're welcome. Eleanor, I see you're unmuted. Is that on purpose?
I wasn't really ready to share, to be honest.
That's fine. No pressure. I just saw unmute. Okay.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So the final thing is, as I wrap up, and the final thing is for you to read your bio. Like the part of this is just getting really comfortable. And maybe at first I don't know if this happened for any of you, but when you shared it, maybe it didn't, to the people who heard it, likely it was not that crazy or weird to them. Like, and we tend to be a little bit more self-conscious about what comes out of our mouths. And so just really own it. And I would say for the next few, several days, get feedback from others and do yourself a favor and create several different versions, right? So maybe it's for this target, and this target. So you just have it in your back pocket and you decide, I feel like wearing this bio today. I feel like wearing this bio. It's your wardrobe. It can be on one's on your Instagram for it's this, on your LinkedIn, it's that, you maybe even have on your website, your about us, it's this, right? So feel free to do that. And again, get super specific on each of your accomplishments. And I did want to share that at the very bottom of, of this worksheet, I do have a stay in touch, and you can click on that, and I'll send you more goodies, which includes a checklist to make an impact with your story. I love talking about promoting, bragging, all that, how to promote without feeling icky. I can send you that. And then also things on your Ikigai download, like your Ikigai score. If you don't know what an Ikigai is, all the more reason to explore this. And please keep in touch. Like, I'm here. And I think in Dreamers and Doers, I put an offer, like you can connect with me one-on-one, and you can find me here. So unless are there any last burning questions that I can answer? Okay, so Hannah, look at what happened. We finished on time.
Oh, this was so good. I'm just blown away, and I know everyone else was as well. This was so powerful. Thank you for who you are and for putting this together and for presenting this to us. We really appreciate it, and I have so much to think about and so much to take away. Thank you all so much for tuning in and for showing up and for sticking it out to the very end and for participating. I know live workshops can be daunting and intimidating, but I think it says a lot that you all are still here at the end. So thank you so much. I hope everyone has an incredible rest of your day, and we hope to see you at a future event very soon.
Thank you to Dreamers and Doers, all of you. Thank you so much. I love this community, and thank you, Hannah, and everyone else.
Of course. It was such an honor to learn from you and feature you today. Have an amazing day, everyone. Bye.